Morning and welcome back to Manda's Ramblings. I think this is the third one. First one I did about my whips and bags. My second one was whilst I was out walking with Poppy and I took you on Poppy's walk. Poppy being my little spaniel. Anyway, look back over those if you like. Today my ramblings are going to be about tools of the trade. So I started knitting, probably had a go when I was about 8. Didn't really get to hands with it. Had a go again when I was 21, and I started knitting with needles that I borrowed off my gran. So straight needles, really, very straight. Sorry, I haven't put any of those down. I thought I'd got some. But you know the ones I mean, the Aero, the Boys, yeah, straight needles. And yeah, I managed a easy enough jumper pattern, really struggled to sew it together. I've since learned that there are different needles, sewing needles, darning needles. So let's start there. Darning needles. You have these ones. Let's see. Apparently this is what you're supposed to do to show it off. Don't know if it makes it any better, but it stops my face from being behind it. So these are bent darning needles and are meant for sewing up easily. Now this is a straight needle and it actually is quite sharp. Hard to show off there, but it's quite sharp. I like those for sewing my animals together. And then I also have in my little pot, it's a little wooden pot with a lid on it to stop me from throwing them everywhere. I have blunt straight needles, and these are the ones that I find the easiest to use when I'm sewing up tops. I do like to knit in the round though, so I don't do a lot of sewing, but I prefer those. And I prefer something like, let me see if I can find the right one. This one's got slightly sharper needle tip. It's not the one that I use regularly. Bear with me, I'm going to get up close and personal. There you go, great for you boobs, why not? So this is the one I use all the time. And this actually has quite a sharp point. It's about an inch and a half long, and it's my favourite. I find that I can catch the yarn to stop it from pulling back, but I don't rip the yarn and split it. I think it's personal choice. Whichever one that you get to grips with is the one that you use. So I've learnt that over the years, that I've tried all different ones. I keep a collection of them and I use them for different things. You'll find the same thing too. So don't worry if you don't like the same ones as me. That's personal choice. So where to start? Start with crochet, because that's really where my heart fell. When did it all start? Crochet I self-taught myself when I was in my 30s, very early 30s. A friend of mine at the time, her friend's son, who was 2, was diagnosed with leukemia, and she asked if I could knit some hats. Well, I couldn't knit in the round, didn't know how to make a hat that looked like a hat, other than square ones, which I didn't really think a 2-year-old would want a square hat. Maybe, I don't know, but I wanted a bit more. So I grabbed for a hook and I started life with these. Straight, boring. The measurement's not right on them. If you put them through the loops, they're not as thick as they should be. This one says 5mm. It's nowhere near the same as my other 5mm. Quickly found that these hurt my thumbs, where the imprint wasn't where I held my hooks. I like to chop and change. I changed from doing it like this to holding it like this to holding it like this, and basically chop and change. And I found the numbers actually indented themselves on my fingers and they hurt, and it's in the wrong place. So I popped these to one side, and I've kept hold of some of them because I teach, or did teach occasionally, and I put them in a see-through pot. Not very see-through that side, which I keep all of them in. So you'll see I got freebies that came with magazines. These actually weren't bad, but again I found that my fingers got stuck on this bit here. I then progressed on to wooden ones, bamboo. I thought that they'd be better. They are, yeah. For some things. They're very good for slippery yarn. I find that, they're okay. they can split yarn. They're not very pointy, so I found them a bit annoying. I did get some speciality ones. These came in sets that I got given, these lovely cupcakes. Might put these up as a dip at some point because I never ever use them. Yeah. And I do have 2 furls and one that was handmade for me. And I've put them away somewhere safe when I've moved everything round. And they're not where I thought they were. So I can't share those with you today. But anyway, I digress. So I went from those to these economical hooks. Now they're great if you crochet like this. But my hook is constantly moving around and changing from one to the other. Yeah, it didn't work very well. As you can see, I have used them. The numbers are starting to come off. That was also a complaint I made about these. And these two aren't actually my favourite sizes, so you can imagine what the 4 is. So they're in a pot. I do use them occasionally. If my hands are hurting, I will grab for them. Again, not my favourite. So let's go to what is my favourite. These. These are clover. Yeah. This isn't my favourite size. Size 4, I like 4, 2.5. Depends what I'm making, but I use those the most. This was just the one that came to hand. I like the little squishy pad. It's not as squishy, but it is soft enough to do it. I can change my grip on them quite easily. I do tend to find that my fingers sit below this bit here, so really for me a short stick would be better, but hey, that's just the way I crochet. For the bigger stuff, it's these. It's a Knit Pro. Yeah, Dave got me a set for Christmas, or it might be my birthday, I think it was Christmas, and I got all the larger sizes because I didn't actually have the larger sizes in the style that I liked, so I got those. And then I needed a 3. I don't know why I haven't got a 3 in my clovers, but I haven't. So he got me this one, and I like the feel of it. I do. I like the feel of it. But again, it's too long for me and I find it a pain when I'm crocheting like that. But it's fine. I actually tend to crochet a lot like that with my finger down on it, stopping the stitches from sliding up and down this bit here. I find that that helps keep the stitches quite tight. So when you're doing a double in USA terminology, once the yarn goes over, I tend to find it slides off quite a bit. So I put my finger down there or that finger down there and I hold it in place. I might show you that at some point. Anyway, this is tools today. So this one is very good too. So out of all of them, these 3 are my favourite, Knit Pros and Clovers. So those are my favourite crochet hooks. Try and keep them separate because they go in different places. I know, I'm terrible. So the other day I was, I did a shorty of a cable, and so I got told that my cable needle was actually a DPN. No, it is a cable needle. It's from an original set of arrows that I got gifted. And there is only 1 each in the pack of each size. Now DPNs you need more than 1. So no, it is a cable needle. You can get them straight, you can get them bent, you can get them with a bump, and I have another bent, slightly bent. Again, if you look, this one is straight bent, this one is bumpy bent, and it really doesn't matter which one you use as long as you're using the one that's the right size for you. Personally like to go down a size when I'm doing mine, so this is actually half a size. So this is well, no, it's not, sorry, it's a whole size. So that's a 3, and I'm knitting with 4mm needles. So I chose the straight one this time because I'm literally just moving 3 stitches at a time. Tend to like to do this if I'm only moving 1 or 2 stitches at a time. They'd fall off otherwise. So yeah, those are my cable needles. I like those. So then I started, I went from crocheting to crochet in with a Tunisian hook. And I bought the straight long ones, and if you notice there's no bump here, and they're brilliant, but they're too heavy to crochet with crochet style. So Tunisian, found them okay, not long enough for what I wanted, so I went out and I bought a set of Knit Pros because I like Knit Pro. And this is what you got. You got a wooden hook, which was the set that I chose, and it's got like knitting in the round, and you can use the cables for knitting in the round. It's got the cable on it and it's got a stopper, so you can get much more on it, and they're great for baby blankets, normal blankets, jackets, coats and all sorts. I used mine when I was doing a shawl. Not so long back I did a shawl knit along. Well, I did a mal actually. I did a Tunisian crochet and a knit shawl that was done all looking very similar but not the same. So those are my crochet hooks and the different ones that I have. And yeah, I know I have quite a few. I do have a set in every, that is one in every size, so I can get them. Lots of them are different sets. I keep finding them in places where they shouldn't be, but hey. So I moved from crochet to knitting because I actually preferred clothes knit in knit. I prefer the way they look knit, jumpers and things, than I do crochet. I actually just do. It's just the way I am. So yeah, I went back to knitting with my straight needles, and that was okay. I then learned, because I didn't know, and not everybody will, I learned that you could use cables for knitting. And I bought myself, sorry, they're attached together, cheap, very cheap, attached cables. And these were some of the first ones I ever got. And they are really cheap. Don't know why that's on there. Really, really cheap. And they don't slide very well. They're pretty poo actually. Once the stitches get over here, you're forcing them back over. You can hear it scratching on my nail. I didn't like them, didn't get on with them. I've kept a few, I've given a few away so that people can try, because when you're learning, you don't need the most expensive things. You just need to have a go and see if you like it. If you don't like it, then you're not going to carry on with it. Or maybe you do like it, but you don't like that particular brand. That's fine. Try a different one. I did, and I know I don't regret it. So I went from those and I got my mum to get me some Knit Pros. Yeah, Knit Pro interchangeables, and yeah, I have to say that was a game changer. And I started falling in love with knitting in the round, and that's when I started making things knit in the round. So I started learning how to do jumpers, and because of that I started designing. So I do like those. I did buy some Knit Pro, the metal ones, because I found that I liked those a bit better than the other ones. I did get some Knit Pro. See, Knit Pro, they are a affordable brand. They're not the best brand, not in my opinion, but they are affordable. And so I got the wooden ones as well, because they are supposed to stop your hands from hurting so much. So those, really simple, attached to a string, which as you can see gets tangled, and that's what bugged the hell out of me. I found it really annoying that this cable has a memory, it's constantly bending, gets tangled up in your work. Found it very frustrating. So I decided that they weren't necessarily the ones that I wanted to stick with. So I saved up, and my mum and Dave helped me to afford a full set of these Tagugus, or however you want to say it. I love mine, and I use them all the time. As you can see, there's needles missing. That's because they are being used. I have bags in here which have other needles in, because sometimes you just need them. I also have keys in there and things like that for opening. The end fasteners are in here, the blockers, to stop stitches falling off. I have those different cables in different bags so that I can keep them accessible, because I hated the fact that I opened the packet But this is the difference between Knit Pro and Chigugus, or whatever you want to call them. Their memory. Yeah, they have one. I can wind this up and it is kept wound, not tight, because that's what these little packages do, but it lives in this little packet here, and when I take it out, no matter how many times I take it out, it always springs back to being pretty flat, or well, arched, which is really useful when you're knitting because they don't get in the way. So I use those, and I use those all the time, but I don't just knit in the round. Well, let's continue in the round and then I'll change. Okay, so I also knit socks. So I have these little sock needles, and I have different types from different makes, and I couldn't tell you which is which because I've taken them out of the packaging. But I can tell you that they're all okay. That I do like them and get on with them and all the rest of it. And I actually find them quite easy. I do also have these ones, which I wanted to get to grips with. No, never. Prefer to knit my socks on little needles or on DPNs. So, DPNs. Let's jump this over here a minute. So, no, hold on. DPNs. Started with these. These are Addies actually, but they're not the starting ones, but they were very similar. And you can see they're bent. Can you see that? Can you see the bent? Yeah, I'm throwing them on the floor. I have to pick them up because the dogs are in here today with me. So, excuse me. There you go. Right, so they're bent. Bit buckled, not very straight. Yeah, got a bit annoying really. But it's fine. That's fine too. I also have these. Let me take them out of the bag and show you what these are. These are Crazy Trios. They're not the Crazy Trios. They're like Crazy Trios. I do have some Crazy Trios. But these are... Yeah, you knit with 3 of them. Well, you knit on 2 of them and use the 3rd one to knit onto. So you always have them on 2. Brilliant for doing sleeves. Hats are a bit fiddlier, but you can do it. Great for socks. I like those. But my favourite way of doing socks, just move this out of the way a second, I'll come back to it in a minute. So I have, those are my cheap ones, those are the ones I started with. Now these are Knit Pro double-ended, and I got both sets because I was very lucky. Dave bought me one, Mum bought me the other, and I have extras in there as well because all the sizes weren't in there that I wanted. I love DPNs, and I'll do a little quickie on, or shorty or whatever they're called, on how to use them if anybody would like to watch that. I actually really enjoy using them. I find them easier for doing socks, and I think excuse me, Velcro on your bed. Go on. Sorry, the dog's saying hello. Whatever, I'll give you a stroke. So yeah, I like my double pointed needles. They're brilliant for doing the socks. I can stop where I want to, have them split over so that they're equal tops and bottoms, so that I can do the heel flaps when I'm doing a heel flap, or the frog fish lips. Yeah, that one. I like doing that. I quite like doing all the different ones. So those are my DPNs, and I do have quite a lot of those. I've actually given a lot away over the years to people who are just starting out with them so they can have a try. Like some of my needles, I gave those away too. Oh, I forgot those. Those are a set that Dave got me, and I like these. These are lovely. But because I like to keep them in a set, they don't get used as much as they could. I do use them, but not as much as they could. Especially not at the moment when everything's moved around, because we're hoping to set up craft room and everything's just piled in boxes at the minute, so it was really hard to actually get all this together. So the other thing I wanted to share with you were these. I don't know if anybody recognises these. They've got a word on them, I don't know if you can see that. Prim. These are triangular. Yeah. Agronomical. I think that's how you say it. Basically, they are rounded at the tip and have a little ball, which is, I found okay. I did find that the more I knit with them, the ball broke off. And this is the only set that I've got now, is a size 6. I do have a 5. I did have a 5 and a 4. My mum bought them for me. They weren't cheap. But the ball came off quite quickly on the floor from the way I knit. Don't know what I do wrong, but that was annoying. They are triangular, which means you actually hold them better. So yeah, I did like that. I do like them. I have got things on the needles for those. It's one of those packs that's upstairs, a UFO I suppose you'd call it, because I haven't done it for so long. I also have these are Knit Pros, as you can see. These are my straight needles. These are used mainly for knitting animals, well, cuddlies, which I started doing when I was asked if I could knit the Queen for her celebration, and I did, and I really enjoyed doing it, and since have knitted quite a few different things. So what else do you need in your kit, because we're going quite long today? I have one of these. This is a digital stitch marker, stitch counter, and you press the button whenever you want to count it, and this button over here clears it, and it's great. But I hate wearing them on my finger, which is how they're meant to be worn, so Dave made me a stand for it, and this stand is multi-purpose. It's got a little taggy on it, which is where I put my stitch markers, which are also something that everybody needs. I have a whole pot of them here. See if I can do it without tilting them out. There they are. And they're by Jessie's Crafty Hands, who is my daughter. So yeah, I have stitch markers galore. But this taggy holds the stitch markers, and then this hole here, and there is one, is for putting eyes onto your stuffies. Can you see the hole right through? Yeah, there's my hand. Hello. So yeah, you put the eye through the stuffy, you put the cover over the eye, and then you press down, and it spreads the pressure on your hand rather than hurting your fingers where you try to push. He made me that, and it was really good. It is really good, and I use it all the time, and I mean all the time. So I have those stitch counters. I also have row counters that you rotate, and I have other push button ones. I've got a row counter which I can't find for the love of me at the minute. It's in one of my boxes. Jessie made it for me, and it's got numbers on it, and it's got circles, rings, and it slides on your knitting, and every time you take it past the start of the row you move it along, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's great for doing pattern repeats, great for doing round counting, but it's not with me today, and I don't know where it's gone for the time being. It'll be with a project now, my luck. One other thing that I will say that if you're going to knit, you need, or crochet, doesn't matter which, you need something like this or like this. Now these are for checking your sizes. I have lots of different needles, lots of them the numbers have rubbed off. These are great. I can pop them through the hole and say, yeah, that's such and such. Well worth doing. This here is even better. It's got a gauge square. Now the gauge square is only 2 inches on this, and a lot of people say you need 4. Yeah, you do, most of the time. I, however, am really naughty and don't gauge swatch as often as I could. I do gauge swatch, I don't always block it, don't always wash and block it. A lot of the stuff that I'm using is stuff that I've used before, so Stylecraft, hand-dyed yarn, but from dyers that I'm always buying from. So I tend to find that it sticks to the same thing. The other thing I bought, or had bought for me, was this. This is, wow. You put it over your stitches when you're knitting, and if it matches, it's the right one. So I have that. I also have sock rulers, which you put in the sock end so that you can see how long you're going. That works for the toe and the heel, and it tells you how far you've gone. I like those. I have this always by the side of me. It's a metal ruler. I do have fabric rulers as well, so for ruling the bigger stuff, but fabric rulers can stretch. Measuring tapes, they stretch, so you're better off actually with a metal one, and yeah, going from there. So what else can I tell you? I've got my winding tool. This is my winding tool. I'll do a shorty on how I wind on it. It is the best thing. It is just literally a pole. It's not see-through or hollow. This one's a solid one. Dave made it for me on his 3D printer, and I find it excellent. I actually wind 100-gram balls on it, but it's mainly for just winding the 20-gram balls. Sorry, that's what my hands do. So I'm going to finish it there. I'm going to share with you one last thing, and that is this cardigan. So this is my cardigan, and this is the painted dragonflies cardigan which I've designed. That's what I'm wearing today. Now, I did get a lot of comments about the fact that I used the colours the wrong way around. I should have had the purple as the bane because it was a solid colour, and the grey as the background colour, and that's fine. But the reason I called this design Painted Dragonflies was because everyone's painting and vision of art is different. And therefore, if I want my art to be personal and not maybe to stand out as bright as some of the other art pieces, that's okay too. So today's all been about learning what works for you. Different things work for different people. So that's me. I'm signing out. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you come back again soon. Bye.